right. Forgot to get the mic out. Hang on a sec. Trying to do too many things today. Hi, folks. How you all doing tonight? Having a few glitches. I came in here earlier today, and my none of the chat stuff was working, and for some reason the the thing that handles the chat had lost all its idea of what the positions of things were. So have no idea. We're playing CO20. Huh? What are you? What? Huh? I have no idea what you're talking about, Craig. I'm confused. Waysor, welcome. George, good to see you. Chrome, Paul, good to see you. Jeff, who else is here? I'll make sure I don't miss anybody who's at least wandered in early. Let's see. That looks like everybody. Who's in the participants list tonight? Let's see. Yeah, Craig, me, Jeff, Quasor. Okay. And like I say, George is or was here. And so anyway, good to see y'all. Oh, a few more people popping in. Good. Let me make a couple minor adjustments here, and we're going to go to that because it's a little less in your face. So you can see the if you look down there at the lower right side, half of George's last message is kind of popped off. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Bear with me. I'm going to look at a screen you all aren't seeing. Maybe if I can find it. There it is. And I'm going to try and see if I can't shift that up a little bit. Like I said, the chat gizmo forgot everything today. So I had to reset it up and didn't really have time. So there, let's see, what does that look like on program? That looks better. All right. Probably some other things will get cut off later, but yeah, we'll live with it. Better than it was. So anyway, let's do the traditional what's in the jam. There's a lot in the jam tonight, and as you can tell, I think I've got had my headphones on backwards. It's just been one of those days. Yeah, I see that. It misses many. I see that because YouTube improves things to serve us better, or something like that. So anyway, that's, I guess, the way it goes. So let's take a look. Like I said, we'll go ahead and we'll grab that, and we'll kind of claw our way through what's going on in Ableton tonight. So I saw the comment go by about the 303, and it is 303 day. So about the closest I could do to come up for a 303 is oh, okay, Tom. Yeah, I got you. No, it's a Cobalt 5, not the same one. So anyway, the bass kind of funky thing, is being Acid V. It knows you want us to use it this weekend. That's what the deal is. So it'll be fine, as we say. So yeah, Cobalt. So there is Cobalt in. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, Acid V is holding down that kind of funky bass thing. Brought forward from last week. We've got we've got some SQ80V running here. I think this is, for this drone. Let's see. Let's make some of this other stuff go away. Get across here, mute all this stuff. There. All right. So, the drone handed down by this guy. It's not taking any keyboard input at the moment. So we got like I said, SQ8ADV doing that low drone. My regular ARP is kind of hanging in there low underneath. I did not use that one. Let's see. That's acid. The percussion is the same thing I used last week. Also, that's Session Percussionist. So there's that. Craft synth. Yes. So I've got some modal stuff in the set tonight. We're going to talk about that because there were some questions that came up about modal stuff last week. So the craft synth is doing this thing. Learned some interesting things about modal stuff. I thought I was comfy with it all, but learned a couple things this week that surprised me, and we'll chat about those. Let's see. Next up is the Cobalt. Cobalt is doing this thing. Doing various things. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'll just play it. Had some weird MIDI things go on this week. I think because I got so much stuff going and kind of halfway put together. I'm not sure which keyboard's supposed to be controlling the Cobalt. Oh, that's why. I didn't do that. There we go. So the other thing with the modals, they're all coming in on one channel through a little sub mixer, so it's a little there's a little lack of control going on here. Polybrute's in playing this. And the Wave State's doing a piano again, but a different piano this time. We had the Op6 in. And I did not use it, but the multi-poly was hanging out in case I wanted to. It's kind of got a weird filter thing going on this. No, there's no MIDI through anywhere, Craig. Unless you're talking to Paul. But the no MIDI through here anywhere. Everything is straight out to the stuff. Some things return, some things don't. So let's see. Take 5 is the last thing in here, I think, tonight. So anyway, that's all the stuff that was in the mix. I'm going to unmute it all. It'll be quiet in the background, I guess. Or somewhat quiet. Anyway, so that's pretty much, like I said, what was in the mix tonight. The usual array plus the Cobalt stuff. I mean, the modal stuff. And like I said, that was one of the things that made me change everything up this week. Was I had some questions about the Cobalts specifically, and modal in general. And so one of the things that I liked about modal was, yeah, that acid part's great. I didn't even, I did a lot of 303 stuff many, many, many years ago, although it was also in software. I used that Reason or Rebirth 333, which of course combined the 303s and into one great piece of software. And we used that. A friend of mine and I used that excessively back in the day. And that's about. And then I got out of that kind of stuff. I didn't do really anything with it, and so it, it's when Arturia came out with Acid, I bought it right away, but I really don't use it all that much. It doesn't fit super well into the kind of things that I do mostly. But I do need to spend some time with it, as I do with the other 150 soft synths that I have, and see if I can. I'm sure I can tame it into the kind of thing I need it to be. It's really a really pretty flexible piece of flexible piece of software, and the Arturia version is kind of cool in a lot of ways. In that, let's see what I have here. It's kind of a modded 303 to some extent. Let's see if I can drag that out a little bit, make it bigger. So, the usual things with Arturia, the basic controls are tied to macros, and I don't have this running inside the wrapper, so I don't have direct control over any of it. But one of the things that they've done with in Acid V, it looks 303-ish. It sounds very 303, but they've also let you get into these controls so you can get in and tweak. So this is the modded portion that kind of coincides with the mods that a lot of people do or have done on 303s. And then in their advanced tabs, let me fold this up a little bit and come into here, and we've got the sequencer in a way that you can actually use it, plus the 3 mod sources, which that's what I haven't figured out really how it ties together yet. So I got to sit down with the manual and play with it. For tonight, I grabbed basically a canned sequence that mostly fit my needs, and just let it run. So this is but this is fun stuff. You got the modulators, and then it's got onboard effects that I don't think an original 303 ever had, because I can pull up all kinds of different effects in here. Yeah, Paul. I mean, it's every time I get into another thing that Arturia did, it's just like, yeah, they really they really did it right. The only thing that to me Arturia needs to do is they need to come out with a KeyLab that has polyphonic aftertouch. I just don't know why they don't seem to want to do that, and that's why I have the Control S, because it's got polyphonic aftertouch. So anyway, I wish Arturia would get on that boat, but maybe with the KeyLab Mark IV, they'll figure out that people actually want that. So anyway, that's pretty much what's in the mix. That's like I said, Jeff. That's why I've got the Control S. So one of two things is going to happen, Paul. Either with the exception of Analog Lab, the only everything in the software suite now responds to polyphonic aftertouch. Everything in the software suite is now NKS or NKS2 compatible, so that it, when I load it up inside Complete Control, I've got full control over everything within the from the surface of the Control S. So one of two things are going to happen. Either they're going to get into the NKS world completely and bring their hardware into NKS, like Kai and several other manufacturers, Nectar and several other manufacturers have, or they're just, or not. But I suspect that they're going to probably bring their hardware into the NKS world as well, and they just may not have had that door may not have opened up in time for them to incorporate that in the Mark III of the KeyLab. Yeah, the MicroFreak does have poly aftertouch. Welcome, Flock. Good to see you. I will not be trying to herd your cats. So anyway, yes, it does. And but the thing with the MicroFreak's a love it or hate it kind of keyboard. I happen to like it, but most people do not like the really cool capacitive thing on the on the MicroFreak. Paul, the MicroFreak it's 4-voice paraphonic, it responds to, and the keyboard itself does polyphonic aftertouch. It's a thing to get used to, I will say that, but it is a lot of fun. So once you get your head around it and your fingers around it. I don't use mine anywhere near as much as I should, like a lot of things, but I have too many. I have too many things. So anyway, speaking of the too many things, let's look at some of the modal stuff. So right now I have the Cobalt's editor up. So if I do this, you'll see the Cobalt editor on the screen. This is one of the things that I really like about the modal stuff is, they've got this great editor librarian app that, unlike Korg, works with all of their synths that you have online at once. If you see up the top here, I've got tab for Cobalt, Sculpt, and Craft. Okay, something else. This kind of shows some of the things that were being talked about elsewhere about the Cobalt. Like I said, I've got the 5S. I do wish I had the 8, but I've got the 5S, so that's what I got. And some of the really cool, there's some really cool things about the way the Cobalt works. That's different, I think, than a lot of other a lot of the virtual analog synths, and it has to do with the way their engines work. So let me kill off a bunch of this stuff. Kill off that, kill off that, kill off that, kill off that. I'm going to kill off pretty much everything except the modal synths at this point. Yeah, that'll work. So if I get control of the Cobalt here, and what's still playing? Oh, I got a sequence running. Bear with me a sec. Let me stop the sequence. The sequence is playing the Sculpt. Okay, that'll stop now. There it goes. Okay, so the Cobalt's playing this thing. So, and Paul, I know the mini keys work well for you, or better for you. There's a few really awesome keyboards that have the mini keys. The Cobalt 5S is one of them. You saw it when I brought it to your place a couple months ago. And of course the little Hydrosynth Explorer. They use mini keys. Probably the best mini keys on the planet on the Hydrosynth. And that does have poly aftertouch in mini keys. Hey Luke, thank you for coming. Good to see you. So we're talking about cobalts here, our favorite subject. Um, so the well, mine's 5S. I wish I had the 8. Um, but I don't have an 8. But this works pretty much the same way. Um, and so we were talking about elsewhere. We were talking about the way the Cobalt oscillators work. Yep, still blue. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to init this patch. Modal, which modal, George, for 350? Studio 8, good to see you. So let me init this patch. What we got now is just basic, basic sine wave here, and the basic waveforms. And so, like a lot of virtual analog synths or even analog synths now, when you're in your basic wave shapes, you can sweep through, through the basic wave shapes. So no difference. So small blue one, George, would have been probably the 5S, but the Cobalt, which is the blue one, comes in. It's pretty much modal heads for signs. So George, the blue ones are all the Cobalts are blue. The 5S is the one with the mini keys. If you saw one of those for 350, I would say that's if it's a used one, I would say that's a little bit high, because I think they sell new for around that right now. Because I think you can buy for about the same price, you can buy a brand new one from Sweetwater, or Toman or whatever. Now, if it's one of the other versions, if it's the module or if it's the keyboard version, then 350 is a fantastic deal. If it's one of the if it's a Cobalt 8 or any of the Cobalt 8s at that price, I would jump on it. Just know that there's a module version, there's an 8M that does not have any keys. Was a keyboard. So there's 3 different keyboard versions, George. There's the one of these days I'll get these cameras programmed. I lost the remote for the other camera. Shoot. And I don't have enough cable on that to drag it over here. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to try and find this remote. So anyway, there's the little one with the row of knobs across the top. That's the 5S, and that sells in that $300 price range. Got the right preset. Trying to get my camera turned around so you can see the one that I have. And it looks like I set the camera in about the right direction. I have no idea what's going to come up when I push the button. So let's see. Boom. There we go. So that one is that's the Cobalt 5S. This back here is the multi-poly. So anyway, yes, I'm wearing pants. So 5S for 250. That's a better price. The thing with the 5S, it's mini keys. Does have it does have aftertouch, not poly aftertouch. I will say that the this particular patch does not. Well, because we're in it. I don't like these mini keys, honestly, but they work. They do the job. I'm not sure where that's going. So anyway, the things that you can do, and like I said, I can't show this cleanly. Well, I guess I could. So the layout on this one can be, let's see. get this mic turned on. The layout on this one's a little wonky. It takes me a long time to find my way around it. But what we can do is we can sweep, as I said, we can sweep through the waveforms. And I'm doing it now with the knob here. And then you can modify the waveforms. And this is where, Luke and I were discussing this on Discord the other day. Luke likes to liken the Cobalts more to a wavetable synth, and it's really not, but it does, as Luke says, have some characteristics of a wavetable synth, and that in that what Modal has done is they've taken the things and broken them down, and they've given you some kind of controls that are the ones that are the most effective with the algorithms that they've come up with for their waveforms, and we'll look at a couple more of those later. But the you can start to do things with the B control that really does things to an analog-ish waveform that is not anything like any other analog or virtual analog synth. So, and each different wavetable group or waveform group, not wavetable, waveform group has different parameters tied to that B the B control on the oscillator. It mangles things, yeah, Luke, in a good way, in a great way. I mean, that was a sine wave I started with, I think. Let me turn this all the way to the left. Okay, there's the sine wave mangled. And let me get the mix over, so I'm just looking at the one oscillator. I already am, okay. As we go through these changes, I mean, these are just, so this is not your average virtual analog fare. I still don't know that I want to call it a wavetable, but it does some great manglings. And the thing that I really like about it, I mean, you can see that I'm turning on the knob here. That editor's working in real time. So we've got great control. We can see what we're doing. And then when you're doing a performance per se, when you get into performance per se, then you've got your basic patch design, and then you save that, and then you've got a line. You've got kind of a great live instrument with great performance controls. Yeah. So yes, it does. I mean, it does. It functionally, yes, it shifts the timbre as a wavetable, but so too do some analog or virtual analog synths. I would say if you want to, this is in some ways, this compares to a Gaia 2 in that regard. I mean, you can mangle a virtual analog waveform pretty well in it, but not with the same. I guess the thing is, it's a flavor. And that's it's Modal have done things they do things with what we think of in kind of normal terms, and they've kind of thrown what we consider normal out the window and said, okay, this is a virtual analog synth, have fun. Many of the things many, if not all of the things that you can do in a Cobalt, I think you can also do on the multi-poly. But a whole lot of stuff. So, yeah, if you're in New York, you can always find. There's always good deals in New York. I got to go back up to New York. I haven't been up in a while. Probably won't be till October though that I get up next time. So where I think the one place that I think the modal synths fall down, and I don't know how this compares specifically to the 8 voice versions. Luke, maybe you can fill in. But where I think they fall down a little bit is the modulation matrix. We've got all this really neat stuff we can do, but the modulation matrices are limited to, I believe, 12 slots, 4 of which are hardwired. So, and you can see those here in the interface. You know, these 4 are hardwired. Note is hardwired to cutoff. Y plus, now Y plus would be modulation wheel. And the difference here in the Cobalt 5 is it's got a trackpad. So instead of having a mod wheel and a pitch bender, you've got this section here is a trackpad that does X for pitch, Y for modulation, and then there's a third modulation source on this. It's pressure sensitive. If you look here at the little display, and actually you can see it too. Let me do this. You can see what's going on better in the software. As I push down, you can see if you look in the lower left quadrant of the screen, you can see where I'm moving X and Y on the pad. And then if I press down on the pad, I've got that third Z source. Okay, so that's common. Thanks, Luke. That's common. That's common across all of their models. Then sometimes I run into wanting a little bit more, or the thing that every once in a while I want a little bit more, because the other thing that happens in modal synths is that not every modulation slot can always do all of the things. And I don't know necessarily why that is or how that is, but and I find that more on the smaller ones. But if I come in here to look at my mod sources, this is my mod source list for this one. And I think it's more the destinations where it gets kind of different from one. You have to choose a source before you can choose a destination. So let's see if I throw aftertouch at this whole list of stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and I'd like to be able to throw things. One in. I run out of slots. I like to modulate a lot of stuff. So that's my thing. I would like to have more mod slots. But then I'm also spoiled by the Polybrute or the Take 5 or the multi-poly. I mean, it's got huge modulation matrices, but they're decent. When I go to New York, Paul, I take the train. I do not drive up there. I won't drive in New York. And I'll drive in Boston any day of the week. I like driving in Boston, but I will not drive in New York City. So yeah, I'll take the train, and then to get around, I'll either walk or take the subway or a cab or something. And I've been doing it that way for years. I think it's just a better way to go. So anyway, the I don't even do that. It's I'm not the cost to drive through the Lincoln Tunnel and to park for a day in New York is not much cheaper than the train. It's really not that much cheaper. And I can drive to the train station near the airport here and hop on a train and relax. I don't have to, I'm not fighting with I-95 or 495 and 495 up there. Just, it's I'm too old for that driving in New York thing. That's all there is to it. Not my does not fit my mindset. Um, yeah, but yeah, it's just um, not gonna make that trip in the truck. I've done it. I mean, I have driven in New York, and that's why that's why I know that I don't like to do it. Um, they're just a crazy place. So anyway, designing sounds on the Cobalt or any of the modal synths is piece of cake. Like I said, I do run into wishing that I had more mod slots, but you know, um, yeah, again, not gonna. It's the whole 95 corridor, Paul. I don't. I've been driving the 95 corridor uh, for 40 years, and 45 years. Just not. I'm done with it. It's like you do it every day for work. You're like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. If I don't have to. So software. This is the modal software you're looking at. So the way the modal software works, um, the the editor can run as a plugin, but you still have to go through some gyrations to get everything to work right. This right now I'm running. Because of the USB MIDI issues that I've been having, I'm running all of my USB MIDI control stuff for the modals and for the Korgs on a separate computer, and just using over USB MIDI. All of the apps for these things require USB MIDI. And unfortunately, they won't fly through my Mio XL interface because it's only a USB host there. Anyway, so you got to direct connect to a computer. I got too many MIDI devices to run on a PC, on a Windows PC. So I just said to heck with it. I'm just going to put in a second PC because I've got one. The upside there, I can't do it right this second, but the upside is by next week, I will be able to show the two computers side by side during a stream. I'm not so. Yeah, they did get the graphics better on the Carbon. I'm still up in the air about the Carbon. I sonically, I don't have. Um, I don't enjoy it. The Modal app is available for PC, and it requires next to no horsepower to run on a PC. As long as it can run Windows 10 or Windows 11, it'll work pretty much. It also works on iPads and Chrome devices or Android devices. Um, and it works just as well on any of them. You just have to be directly connected. So it'll work on a Mac. It's a Mac version. They've got it. If it's got a screen and it's relatively modern, it'll work. I run it. I've run it on Chromebooks. I've got it on iPads. I've got it on. I don't know if I've got it on the Chrome box. It's run on the Chrome box that runs the chat. But like I say, I've used it on even a really low grade Android tablet, and it works just fine. So kind of lost my track there a moment. Yeah, Chromebooks too. In fact, that's the the Cobalt 5S is you can power it off. You can power it off of USB as well. And the last time I went down to see Paul for the monthly jam at Paul's place, I took the Cobalt 5S and the first Chromebook that I ever bought, which is an ancient Acer R11. the thing is, I don't know how many years old, but I ran for the whole day. I ran off the battery in the old Chromebook, and it'll run fully charged. It'll run that little Chromebook and the Cobalt 5S for about 5 hours with no problem. So I didn't need any power at Paul's. I just plugged in, gave him an audio feed, and away we went, which was pretty cool. Some other really nice things about the 5S. It's got full size 1/4 inch outputs. It's got full size all the modal stuff, even these little goofy the Sculpt and the old Sculpt and the old Craft synth. Even they've got full size 5-pin MIDI for integrating everywhere else. So anyway, designing a patch on this thing. Let's get it. That's what I'm driving. Yeah, it's easy and fun, and and some other interesting things about these guys is they've got. If I can get it, come on, there we go. So it's got this one. No, I'm sorry. If you're into like if you get into the Argon series, they have those are wavetable synths, and they've got wavetables in those from the original modals, the 001 and the 002, which is pretty cool. And those actually even made it into this silly little guy, the Craft synth. Let's see, go back to that shot. Take you for a ride. And not exactly where I wanted to go, but it's where I got for now. So let's, and it's dark over there, of course, but really? That was neat. Hey, Culture of Ghosts, welcome. So this thing is a thing they came out with called the Craft Synth 2. It's a wavetable mono synth. And it works very much like an Argon without in a fairly simplified package. I'll make it brighter over there. With an interesting kind of touch screen or capacitive touch keyboard thing. Of course, the focus is getting fooled by the other thing in front of it. Oops. Oh, come on. That's as good as it's going to get tonight, I think. All right. So it's got a little 8-note keyboard, capacitor keyboard. And if you notice, the basic layout of the editor is kind of the same across all of these. You've got the same 8-way mod matrix. And I think this might be one of the ones where you start getting into limitations as to what you can. Although it looks like they added a bunch of stuff. They did update this before they had the trouble. Okay, so here's a shorter list. This one's got a shorter list of things. This one's full long. It's really kind of weird, where you can decide what you can and can't route to what, and so that's one of the little things that drives me a little bit crazy. But where I was going with this is we've got basically the same app and we can look at all of the synths that I have. And if I had three, four, five more modal synths on here, I could just flip through them and grab to the editor to any one of them, which is one thing that I really like. So we're on this one still. So we've got a whole bunch of different algorithms, as they call them, and it's basically different virtual analog waveforms that you can beat up in many ways. So if you're into the VA virtual analog crushed, you've got bit crushing. I say you've got bit crushing. Did it there a second ago. Yeah, it sort of shows you on the screen what it's doing most of the time. Maybe not all of the there we go. So you can see those are all. So anyway, bit crushed and turn that by. So as was being discussed, this B control controls a function that Modal wants to highlight in the waveform group, in the algorithm group. And so they've got, spread saw, and so this changes the spread value when I can get it to go. So you can see it does some, and some of these things, I don't know if it only shows it, but some of these are quantized to something. And there's a whole bunch of these, and these weird spread squares. And so this spread square is not really PWM. It does this, their spread square does some interesting things into the wave shape as well. You can see it does different offsets of the pulse width. Oh, that's okay. But thanks, Luke. I'll do that and set that back to default. So yeah, the problem is you can't, and of course I've taken the picture of it, you can't buy the Craft Synth anymore. You can't buy the Sculpt anymore, unfortunately. They were, I think when they first came out, the Craft Synth was $150, and the Sculpt might have been $249 or $225 or something like that. I know when I bought them, I bought it at B&H. They had a deal. I got them both for $250. When I bought something else, it's like, how can I say no? In fact, I think I bought can't remember what else I bought that day from B&H, but both of those for $200 to $250. It was like, yeah, send them over. Kind of a no-brainer. So they were a bargain, and they were kind of my gateway drug. I like to do things if I can to test the waters with something, and so if I could find something inexpensive like that, that's a yeah, something like that. Jeff, the reason your eggs cost so much is you had to buy all the chickens. That's what it is. And take care of them. Our eggs here aren't that crazy at the moment, but so in this particular algorithm, they kind of changed up what these do. Instead of going through space, this controls the width, and this is where it kind of does. Let's make it symmetrical. And this is where it starts to get 47 years. Break even at 47 years. Okay. This is where the Cobalts get much more wavetabley, I think. When you start getting into the higher algorithms. $8.59 for 20. That's about what I'm paying, George, here. We don't usually buy 24. I'll usually buy 18 or 12. But the cost breakdown is about the same. And I just go to the local grocery store. Our grocery store here usually has pretty much everything all the time. Turn that down. It's a little loud. Still a little loud. So this really is PWM, of this tri-square waveform. So you've got a tri-square, which is an analog-ish wave shape that's available on other synths, and all we're doing is changing the symmetry and the width of them. The effect here, Asaph, good to see you. The effect, though, is we can do all this stuff, this filter sounding stuff, without eating up the filter. And then you can put the filter on top of it and get these really complex things. Like we could take, let's see. Let's close the filter down. Use the balanced low pass. I'll take LFO1 and put on the width control. We'll turn that up a little bit. I have no idea what the rate is. Pretty slow. LFO. Modulation. So let's crank the, let's make it free run if we can. Yeah, free run and make it a little slower. And we can sync it to clock. So let's make it 1 bar, and we'll turn the amount up. Okay, so you can hear that messing with that. Then we can take the other LFO and throw it to the symmetry, or I could even take the same LFO and send them both. Send it to that guy and make it negative. Turn this up. We have yet to see any egg outages here. I've seen plenty. We got plenty of eggs here in Maryland, at least the part of Maryland that I'm in. And so now we could take. So this sounds good as it is, Now we can play with the filter envelope. Now, one thing that the 5S does, and Luke, you can tell me if the 8s do this. I'm not able to. Well, maybe I can. I set that to free run, but I wonder if what I'm not noticing is if the envelopes or the the envelopes and the LFOs are re-triggering and tracking for each voice. Hear how they all sound like they're in sync? So I don't know, Luke, if you can get them, if on the 8 voices they trigger per voice or not. Okay. So it sounds to me like that's all right. I knew what you meant. It sounds to me like then on the 5S you don't get the per voice. You only get globals. Trying to listen to the different notes doing different things. So anyway, I kind of wish they did. I'd like to retire, though. So I kind of like it if you could do, if you could do that. The other limitation on the 5S over the 8s is the number of effects. I think on the 8s you get 3 effects. On the 5S you only get 2, and they're fixed as to what they are. If you type in Moog as an auto, that's funny, Craig. That is funny. But I can make some delay on this thing, and you get delay in chorus on the 5S. Or a free runner options for. Yeah, so I've got those. I mean, I've got those options on all the LFOs. The question is whether they're global or per voice. And that's it appears on the 5 that they're all. It sounds like they're all global. I don't think they're. Yeah, it's like I get all the options on. Go back to mod. I get the options for free retrigger single on both LFOs. I just can't seem to say. I just can't seem to say, be set. Yeah, like I said, I don't see a way to. I think they're all global on the 5. Yeah, I'll have to look. I haven't looked at the manual for this for a while. I'm one of those guys that I will read a manual, but it's, to me, if something is designed well, then I don't have to have the manual, or shouldn't have to have the manual to get most stuff done. It's the details and the reference stuff where I want the manual, and that's how I typically use manuals. And that the all our base are belong to us predates the Borg. I can't remember where it came from. Some video game that got turned into a song, which it was hilarious. The only thing I wish this, the thing I wish this had is that, it definitely predates, and it was from, I think it was an 8-bit game, it goes way back. But I can't remember what it was. I've never been a big gamer, so I'll probably never. I could look it up. It's on the interwebs, and the whole song thing that they did with it is several versions are on YouTube. Zero wing, that's it. So anyway, we got a really cool sound here, and we haven't done anything. And that's one thing I really like about this. We've got this really great pad sound. If I stretch out the amp attack and release, boom, we've got a pad. Cobalt 5S, 2 individual low frequencies. LFO1 is global, LFO2 is poly. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. So it's just a matter of which one I choose to do which thing is where I'm running across it. So anyway, we've done all this, and I've only used one oscillator. And so if I want, I can go ahead and grab. I'll use the VA sweep for this. I'll put it into this kind of sort of wonky saw, bring it over some. Feels like that's actually doing some phase cancellation by doing that. Yep, definitely. So I've got a third envelope here that I could tie to something, whatever I want, and but we got the power in these in the modal synths. I think is hard to beat, especially for the money. The only one that I'm not sure about, and it's a matter of my liking the sound or not, is the Carbon 8. I've not been 100% thrilled with what I've heard from it for the money. Of the lot, it is the expensive one. I think they're selling around $1,100. And I know the others, both the Argon and the Cobalt are I think on sale for like $8 something, just under $900, or maybe they're on sale for $7 now, $7 something. Anyway, and that's a kind of a sale we go to pretty regularly. Definitely fun stuff, though. So, anyway, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about tonight. We could spend hours and hours and hours messing with the any synth that I've got here. I could spend hours and hours and hours messing with. Maybe one of these weekend days, I'll just come in here and turn on the camera and go for hours. People can come and go as they please. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, we're going to push it off till next week. Because I don't want to step on Jeff's time, is the concept of pink noise mixing, and using pink noise to get a mix. I floated an example of that on YouTube and on the Discord. There's a piece that I put up, like I said, on YouTube, and I also linked it to the various Discords, called Simplify. And so that's kind of the point about this mixing method, that you use pink noise as a reference, and if you mix everything to the right levels against the pink noise, you don't have to mix. And the short of it is, well, I'll set up. I didn't have time to set this up, and that's why I'm going to move on from it. But I do like it for getting a rough mix. That's for sure. There's setting up takes some time and some work, but the methodology does get you in a good spot real quick. And if you listen to that to that thing that I did, the Simplify thing that I put up on the channel, and I'll put a link to it. I don't have a link to do it now, but I'll put a link to that in the description once I'm done here. The only thing that I did that beyond the pink noise mixing was a little bit of mastering, just to kind of tame a couple of things here and there and give it some punch. You know, there's a lot of argument about it on YouTube and the interwebs as to whether it's a thing you should do or not. I like I said, I think it's great for getting you to a ballpark, but I wouldn't call it the end all of mixing. That's my opinion. But you know, I'm an old fart and I do things the old way. You know, and I don't like change much. So, at any rate, it's about 9:15 here on the East Coast of the United States. I believe Jeff will be coming on his channel at 9:30. I think he's got all his computer stuff put back together. Am I correct, Jeff? Are you good to go tonight? But I have a DC day, 2 DC days coming up, so early departure to fight that battlefield. So I am going to start to play some music and basically call it a night. And computers are usable. Are you? So I'm guessing you're going to stream. Cool. So I will make some noise and get out of the way. I will thank everyone for coming, Jeff and Craig and Luke and the whole crew who came out tonight. Because I'm not looking at that screen right now. So, who else was here? Let's see, Asaph and George and I know I'm missing people. I always do. I'm sorry. But anyway, thank you, everyone. Culture of Ghosts was here, and you know, the whole crew. So thanks, everyone, for coming. I will catch you all again in a few days, probably next week. Thank you, Culture. Appreciate that. And we will see what happens next week, if not before. Thanks a lot, guys. See you all soon.